Hi, right, welcome back. Back to business. Today we've Triumph back on the bench. It's been a long time, long time, that everyone's been nagging at us about changing these standard factory backlights on the Scrambler, and I think the day has arrived. So here we are with a rather enormous pile of parts.
Yum.
To take all that off, all the rear fender / mudguard, all off completely, and turn it into something that looks just a little bit nicer. We've got some rather amazing stuff if we're... First of all, let's get the seat off, let's get the mudguard off, show what we're going to do. Okay, right, fender off, star drives. Just have to move a few things out of the way. This is the plug for all of the backlights, that's the entire affair. So we just literally unplug that one. That's that out of the way. That's it. And we'll come back to using this in a minute. And that gives us access. Put that bolt back in. Little things like this, just put bolts back in where they come from so that you don't lose them for later on. And when we need to peg that relay back down, we know where the bolt is. And that's the SCART lead, if you wish, for tuning your ECU and stuff. But we're not going there today, we're just changing that fender. It just holds on with 4 bolts. Okay, and we'll all go back in a minute. And on the back. Here we go. It's as simple as that. Whole assembly comes off in one go. 4 bolts, that's it, and a plug. Quite nicely done, quite modular, if you will. You can literally take that off if you have to do anything to it. You don't have to remove the backlight, and that's going to stay as it is. Obviously, we'll show you something with regard to this in a minute. Penny and I have decided right at the beginning that every modification we make to this, we're going to keep the original parts in as fine condition as we can. This is going to get cleaned, it's going to get wrapped in bubble wrap or tissue, and it's going to get stored upstairs in the spare room. And that's purely because in the future, one day, you may want to put it all back to standard. And a lot of people I see hack these up. They don't think anything of them. They think they're cheap and easy to get hold of. Phone Triumph, price up one of these, and you'll soon see perhaps it isn't worth hacking it up. Right, that's that off. That's pretty much us stripped ready to go. So let's have a look at the parts we've got and show you what we're going to be putting on the bike. Alright, show you what we've got. Lighting indicators. We've got some wire and loom adapters, or jockey harness, call it what you like. That's for the front as well, we'll come back to that in a minute. And a proper tail tie plate, if you wish. Let's get some of this celluloid tape. Packages, Ben.
Oh no, I'm so excited.
Ready? Right, now this is Motone stuff. We've gone with this from the beginning because I want to try and maintain a look, a given image or appearance of the bike, a similar style. Don't want different style stuff. Fasteners millions. Let's have a look. So this is just a standard. You can get these, I'm sure many of you have already seen them. These are available on eBay from Motone, and they now come as a kit. So you now get the actual tail tidy itself, which is quite nice. It's from aluminium, and it's pre-drilled, pre-bent, all into shape. But being that it's actually a piece of sheet aluminium, it's quite flexible, so if you need to bend that up or move it around, you can. So that's the plate itself. And now, what we've decided to go with, and there are a selection of backlights from Motone, we've decided to go with good old venerable Lucas style backlight. Now that's the classic Lucas style, goes back to the 1950s. I think it's a lovely shape, it looks really nice. But if you come in close, Ben, have a look at it. It's actually, internals are all LED. Lovely. So you've got the outside light, or the standard light at the front section. and then that doubles when you hit the brake. It doubles up as a brake light as well. And underneath you've got a few white ones inside there, which will shine down onto the rear rear number plate. So you've got a number plate light at the same time.
Lovely.
And that all fits on, ready to go. And you also get that piece of harness. So that plate, that light, and that piece of jockey harness, to connect it all together, that all comes from Motown at about £95. It's not a bad price, I don't think, especially when you get an LED backlight with it. I think it's quite nice, and it is competitive in the market. So let's show you where that's going to go.
Lovely quality as well.
It is, isn't it?
See it? Yeah.
It surely is. We'll come to all the wiring side of it in a minute. It's so easy to fit this. Literally, that bolts straight in where the other one was. We'll fit it all properly in a minute and get it all bolted in place. And then we just bolt the back end on. We'll have to bend that up just very slightly when the time comes. Okay, little trick is, little spacer, little 6mm alley spacer. Hold that there. Line it up underneath this. This is the factory mount as a steel insert. Stop the bolt pushing through too far, and this rubber grommet in the frame that keeps everything nice and smooth, stops the vibration. So that stays there. There's a gap underneath here, about 7-8mm. So just pop the spacer in till it lines up. Put the bolt through. Then underneath, it will pop down inside. You have it under there? Mm-hmm. You see that?
Yep.
There you go. And that will just catch the bolt underneath. So just do them up a couple of threads at the rear, the front, and then you've just got to do the rear, which is the same principle. You just slip them underneath. While that's flexible, take the spacer in there, get the nut or the bolt and the washer ready, lift that down, slip it in, and you can line it up perfectly. Let it go, take those out, that line's straight down inside. And you do the other one. Easy, isn't it? Okay, once it's bolted in place, just nip it gently. You can retighten everything at the end. That'll do. All on 10mm fasteners, all with little nylocks, all stainless steel. Nicely done. Right, I'm going to deal with this in a minute. That's a little bit too pointed down that way. The angle of these is set just by random selection, but it's nothing wrong. There's only a simple fold here, done on a folding brake, nice and sharp. All you've got to do is lift that and just come out a little bit, and that will just lift it away so that your number plate doesn't touch the tyre, because that could be quite unsafe. So we'll come to that at the end. Right, let's get the lights bolted on. Through there. You've got a little gasket on the back, which is just a vibration stop. Doesn't locate on anything, it just sandwiches between the two and stops it. Oh, vibrating. Should think ahead. Yeah, it's in the name. Now, just on these, they seem to come with these little regular nuts. I'm going to get some nylocks for these, but they have got spring washers, so they won't rattle off, or they shouldn't do. Not something I've heard of as an issue. So either way, or both. One back light. Right, now that, and a feed through there, because those spacers underneath there give you that gap. It's better to feed that neatly underneath rather than go over the top where it could get chafed. There we are. Nice neat. Take the time when you're routing anything like this to do as nice an install as you can. Push that back down the line. Come underneath there. Make sure. So you've got quite a nice looking, neat install there to the back light. I'll put a bit of silicone over that as well. That joint, when I'm done, I use that black sealing silicone, the heat-proof stuff. and you just smear it over it completely. Stops any water getting anywhere near any of the electrics, which is really nice. Right, so that's got that in place. Get the indicators bolted on. When all the wires are in, we just connect them up. See those lovely indicators of yours.
Hi. Woohoo.
Okay. Take your nuts off. Right. Right, there we are, back on. Here we are. This is just to cover up the thread and protect the wire. You can leave them like that, they're okay, but that looks a bit crap. So, unfortunately, you need to do that. So, nice bit of heat shrink on there. Up against the end. You can't do much with the nut. If you put a piece over the nut, you could do that, but then it wouldn't necessarily shrink. You giggling at?
Your lighter is being a bit temperamental.
Nice last legs, isn't it? It's running out of lighterness. Okay. And what I'm going to do as well, I'm going to run another piece of smaller heat shrink, and this is the glue-filled heat shrink that actually bonds on, and it's sealant inside it. You can buy it from any places, anywhere from Trago Mills to wherever you like. Even where I cut it there, it's glued itself. Come on, baby, there it is. So just going with the size that's as snug as I can get it on. And this will go over the end of that piece. Which so. There we are. Which is still running. Right, so that's protected it and covered it completely. It won't have any problems now. That's it. And I'm going to route the whole lot through one little hole. Nice and neat and tidy. Just so that little bit of heat, the extra layer of heat shrink comes through as a bit of chafing protection. Chaffage. Right. And there we are. So that's everything fitted and routed. Take the trouble to make sure all the wires are relaxed and loose and jiggle about nicely without any rubbing, and that nothing here is pulling or too tight, and then it will fit. Right, there we are. Right hand, left hand, rear light. Okay, let's plug them all together, shall we? Okay, right. I said to Sam at Motone a long time ago, when we were consulting and they were thinking about the tail tidy and sort of indicators, they didn't do any indicators at the time. I said the real important thing that I think that would definitely make these popular and make people feel much more relaxed doing it is if they could just plug it in. Simple as that. What they've done is produce this little harness. Now you can get from, if you go on Motone's Facebook page, there's a little diagram of how these wire in. And if you just read it, it's very simple, very easy. There's the three. We've routed everything through, so fit everything to the bike first, fit the mechanical stuff first, do the hardware, and then we can get plugging in the wiring. So the first thing to consider is you've got a standard factory plug. They've produced this. These, if you buy them separately, come in at about £24 for that, which may seem a lot, but the convenience factor is where it is. If you buy the whole plate and light assembly, that comes with it free, so I think it's pretty value. Right, that's the light socket that we unplugged from the loom when we took the whole rear factory fender off, and it is simply a male and female one of them, so that snaps in. That's the first thing. Nice factory fit. You can then route this. Later on, I'm going to route all this, hide it all, tuck it all away, and then get busy with the cable ties. Now, because of various other fitments, various other bikes, they've ended up giving you this extra bit of wire. So all you need to do is actually just coil it up. And I'm gonna, when it's done, I'm gonna make a neat install of that. But for now, I just need to make sure everything's working. So just test plug in everything, that I've got it in the right place is the most important thing, and just testing that it's working. So with the kill switch off, because you don't need the coils and the fuel pump primed, we only need power to the back lights. So kill switch in the off position, pop the ignition on, you've got headlight facing forward, so we know all the power's working. We know that this loom is now powered up. You don't even need a test light on this. So we're going to do the back light first. On the back light, you come with 3 wires. Now what I've done here, this came with a ring tab, and I've taken the ring tab off and I've put this bullet connector on, purely because this ring tab has now been updated to a bullet connector. So you can, when you buy this now, you get all like that at the end, all with plug sockets. But this is an early one. I've had it a little while since I was waiting for the indicators, and I've replaced that. So all we do is first, black to black, we plug the earth in, so the earth works, and then we go quite simply on this. Now, if you look at the wiring diagram, it will tell you that the red does not go to the red. The red goes to the blue, okay, which is just the way it's wired. Okay, so that should be the tail light, and then the red goes to the yellow, and that should be...
I'm flashing.
There we are. So that's the tail light. If we now operate the brake, we've got the brake light plugged in. Okay, so you can see, it doesn't matter which one's which, as long as what you've got on all the time is the dimmer of the two, and when you operate the brakes, you get the brighter of the two. Come in top, man. Come and take a little look. Down in the top, can you come around this side and look down in here? You see the mechanism working. It's quite a clever little doodah, all very nicely made. It's a beautiful piece of kit, that really is. And when you see it from behind, you've got this lens, it's a magnifier lens, so you get that awesome backlight, works on both, so that's cool. So we know the backlight's working, that's cool. Now we're going to check out the indicators. Now we're going to do the right hand one first. On the wiring diagram, now on this here, you get these 4. So if you're looking at wondering what these are, quite simply, the black has a double socket. That's because it's earth, and we've got 2 indicators, so we need 2 sockets for earth. So we plug in the earth into one side, and we take the earth from the other indicator into that side. So we've earthed both indicators through the bike's wiring loom. There's no need to go ring tabbing these to the frame. You don't need to do it. They don't earth through all this. They simply earth into the wiring loom. So we've then got the 2 lives. Now the 2 lives on your wiring diagram, I'm going to plug all these in permanently in a minute and squeeze them in, crimp them into place. These snap into place once you push them in. I'm just pushing them in loosely for testing purposes. Alright, the amber is the left hand and the brown is the right hand. So we plug the right hand one into the brown, we plug the left hand into the amber. Simple as that. Now, I should have working indicators. Right, good to go?
Yep, working, working.
There we are, okay, all working. Right, now finally, all it needs to do now is unplug these. On these ones here, I'm going to heat shrink those so that once they're snapped in, there's a nice bit of heat shrink over them, just all about making a nicer install. But I just want to finally, before I do it, unplug it all, put it all back. So I know it all works, I know how to plug it all in. I just want to explain this last one here. That last one that comes on your loom, this is for running lights. If, like some of the original 80s Japanese American spec bikes, you have a separate set of running lights where you used to run your indicators would have a separate filament and run all the time, and then also be indicators. Some of you American riders will know what I mean. Anybody in this country who's imported American bikes, you'll know that they run with the indicators on all the time. If you choose to run that, that's what this cord is for. All you simply have is, you have 3 wires coming out of those standard factory indicators, and you plug that in. So that's just simply a live feed. All that is a live feed. Simple as that. So if you need that for anything else, you can use it. That is a simple live feed. Even if you wanted a permanent live feed all the time the ignition's on for something else, you can use that. It's there for it. Otherwise, leave it there. It's all safe and protected. It's not going to touch anything. Absolutely as it is. If you're really worried, turn it over, cut it off, put some heat shrink over it, and it's safe. But that's all right as it is. Right, I'm going to plug all this together properly, get some heat shrink over it, make a finished, tidy, nice install, and I'll show you what's on this done.
It's like a
It's like
porcupine.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
See, I knew those would come in handy.
Yeah, everyone needs lots of cable ties. Does it look like I'm OCD?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Looks neat though.
It does. I think when you've got any wiring job that you're doing, it is really, really important to make a nice, tidy install, that everything's neat, everything's safely clipped and stowed away. There we are. Now with all those heads, I just turn them upside down so they're completely out of the way, underneath as it were, and that stops them rubbing on anything that's above, like the seat or whatever. And there we are. That is a nice, tidy, clean install. Now all the way along, as I've been clipping this and manipulating this wiring, I've just kept turning on the ignition, making sure nothing's come disconnected, and the indicators are all working, and everything's there, so that's it. Now that is very neat indeed. What I've had to do, kind of back on this was just a little bit too upright. Naturally this is a lowered bike. Had this been still at scrambler height, which is kind of up here, it wouldn't have made any difference whatsoever. But now that this is as far forward as it is, number plate used to be kind of out here, now it's further forward. I've just bent this up. All I've done is where the two weak points are, there is where it's gone. I didn't want to bend this because then that bends the whole plate, and that sets the light itself up too high. I want it to be facing back where it should do. So bent those up. The number plate now will sit nicely there, just above the wheel, and do its job. Right, pop the seat back on. Let's do the front. Right, there we are. Everything as it should be.
Yeah, don't forget the fronts.
A bit weird, wouldn't they? Old indicators. Like wearing old shoes, isn't it? Okay, what I'm going to do with that, just going to put some protective stuff on there. Just lay it in there neatly. Right. So in here, we're just looking for the wiring, which is there. Wiggle the wires. There's the left hand indicator, there's the right. That shows you where your wiring is. So that's what we've got to plug into. Ever so simple. Just unplug these first. Now all these plugs are there we go. So to undo these, is that little section there, just lift it off and that plugs in and they just snap into place. Right, so we'll do this one first. A little rubbery cover off. 17 mils, right. Again, keeping safe for posterity. I've seen people hack these down and cut them up and spray them black because they kind of disrespect them because they're plastic made by Fisher-Price Mattel, and they are for the future. I said this earlier on. You know, when Penny and I saw a 1965 Triumph Bonneville at the Ace Cafe, all original, every single part of it original, the original rack, all the original indicators, all correct, and they weren't replacements or, what do you call them, they weren't reproductions, they were actually original. You can see they were glass Lucas lights, all correct original, and the bike had £20,000 on the price tag. It had been restored as well, but it was beautiful and all correct and original. So, you know, alright, one of these, I don't think they'll ever be worth that kind of money, because I think the world of classique has gone as far as it's going to go. But why throw it away? If you went to Triumph and you found out what that cost, you probably would think twice before chucking it over your shoulder into the garden. So they'll go in a box, like we always do, keep them nice and safe. So normally, this is the voltage regulator plate as well, and you would normally just mount the indicators through there in the normal way, but that is a shame and a rubbish thing to do, because there are some rather awesome brackets available. So we're going to take that one out of the way. Right, now the voltage regulator itself, as you can see, can you look under there, bolts to this plate. So taking out this plate means you then bolt the voltage regulator straight to the yoke. It's not a problem, I think. Just observe that. It looks like that's what you do. Now, if you've got a Bonneville, it'll be a different arrangement. You may also have some sort of relocation affair going on where you put your voltage regulator down lower. So whatever the case may be, get this bracket, which we're not going to use, out the road. Let's get that out of the way. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on. Right, that is, again, look it up on Triumph Parts, what it costs before you do that with it, because you'd be surprised. Probably a lot of money. Now that's produced those two threads down there, and they're the same width. Well, they don't need to be exact because you've got slots, as you can see in the VR. So just pop that straight on, direct mounted. Okay, firstly and foremostly, this is where you separate from your total reliance upon Motone. You don't have to do that now. These are two little harnesses you can buy from the internet, and if you've got these indicators, obviously Motone do many other parts for many other bikes, not just for Triumph. They now include Harley Davidson, they've got stuff for Yamahas and all sorts. Now, for that reason alone, it's easier to just do this universal wiring. So you just get this going on. There's no point in them putting factory plugs on. But all you got to do this, and I think this is making it as easy. This follows what we said, this whole principle of making this job plug and play. No messing about. So there's our wires. What we've got here is quite simply a plug-in, sort of male to female on there, which then produces two Triumph plugs. Now they are there. These, carefully, are the exact plugs that will go in there in a minute. So
how easy is that?
Ever so simple, and that's tiny enough to fit. It's like a little jockey harness. Little, it's a little there. Little. It's a small jockey harness, and that pair. They can be bought from. If you just, they're available from Motone shortly, but at the moment I got these from the company that supplies a lot of their other stuff. So it's £15 from eBay, and you just put Triumph to universal adapter, indicator adapters. There they are, and they're all nicely done. And these are the proper factory plugs. Lovely little piece of kit, and makes it so everything's ready. As you can see, what I've done. These just install like that. They just snap straight into the factory loom, and that produces the plugs that's on the end of the indicators. So that one at the top, and the red one there, down the bottom on that side. Right, I'm going to show you these brackets. Rather than just put these on the factory bracket, which I think is a little bit of a travesty because they're £65. These indicators are £65 a pair. I would not put them on a stamped out tin bracket. What we've got instead is these. Close on the light. These come from Motone as well, and they go with these indicators. And how it works, they insert in through there. There it is, that way in, all the way through. That shuts in there neatly, and then you get a collar that screws in, so it's all the same colour, and this is all billet alloy, and this is a pair. This matches. I'm afraid, sadly, like all things of quality, that's not included. I'll give you some prices at the end so you know what it is, but these two here are redundant. We don't need them. We're just going to use these. Right, the way I want to do this, soft plug, I'll keep that nice. Right, now these simply fit, because they open up, they simply fit around the fork leg. Now because it's completely optional, you can have them how you like. You can have them there with the sort of wire and the nut showing at the front. You could have them up the top there, snucked up underneath. You could put them on top. Anyway you like really, they can go there. Well, it has to be that way, so the indicator's out this side, don't know. But personally, my choice is at the bottom. You've got this is a little hinge at the front, but honestly, down on top of there, you don't even know it's there. I absolutely love that. That is beautiful. So it's that way up. It's that side out most.
You don't need the bracket though. You can use the original ones.
Yeah, you can leave that tin bracket, but as I just said, I wouldn't be doing that. That's a waste. All we do is pop them through. And that sits neatly up against there. And this is again billet alloy, and Motone are working on different threads depending on what indicators you're going to use, what bike you've got. And that, let's come around, that just screws in there. And once that meets, everything lines up, it just pinches round. And what I would do with all these things, I've said this so many times, there are little workshop practices that really will help you do a good job. And one of them is when you've got this sort of thing, billet, anodized alloy thread or nuts, take a nice spanner, this the best spanner you've got, make sure the jaws are nice and free from any nicks or cuts. And when you do it up, just put it on gently and just literally nip it. Don't bruise these, because this would be a shame, wouldn't you, if you end up ringing this or bruising it because you've been a monkey boy on it and swung off it with a battered old spanner. So good tools will prevent your bike from being damaged, even when you're doing things like this. Right, line it all up. And then as soon as you nip that up, in whatever direction you like, obviously level, horizontal. Now because I'm up on the lift here, this is all strapped down, so to be honest you'd normally have this so you can turn the steering and access this, and I'll do it all up properly later on. Just going to nip that in there gently. It doesn't need a lot because these brackets clamp round and they're machined to fit these forks, the same as these are machined perfectly fit. You don't need to swing on them, honestly, they really don't need much at all. It's an alloy thread as well, so just literally finger tight. There it is. It's only an indicator, it's not going anywhere. I can't move that. That's fine. So we just need to then route that most obvious way straight up into the back of the light. And as this is the left or port side indicator, we'll come up through there, up the back. And again, this is down to how much effort and time you want to take to make a nice, neat, tidy install. And that will now plug straight into there. And I've pre-prepared these by pinching them in a bit so they're nice and snug, going with a nice click. There we go. And we should, hopefully, all that is working. Ta-da! There we go. Easy peasy. Right, okay. Going to do the other one, chuck that back in, drop it off the bench, roll it outside, give you a walk round. See what you think. Do you want a pen? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep, love it.
That is nice. Right, there we are.
Pulses 50-foot high through the fumes and haulage. It's sometimes hard to know if the prize is stateside of Nuevo Laredo. Every siren has a weak spot, as everything has a beginning and an end. And when the face you trust most is no longer the one on which you can depend, when the fight feels futile and light and justice wins, where's my sunlight when the shitstorm begins? It's not when it's time. It's not when it's out.
there we are. I hope you like that. Now, just give you some specs and some prices. The tail tidy plate itself under here with the light and the little harness, £95. I think that's too much at all. It's a complete kit. It all bolts together and it all plugs in. I quite like that. It's a lovely little light, really good quality. It's got the fantastic Lucas style. You can have the round style with a stop. I think the Velocet style backlight, if you prefer, they're all available. They're all the same price. So that's £95. The indicators come in at 65 quid a pair. £65 for a pair of indicators? Not much at all. I think that's the right money. These are billet machined from a lump of aluminium, and they're the highest possible quality. The threads alone, when they screw on, they're a very, very fine precision thread. These are a beautiful pair of indicators. They really are up to the standard of the bike. That's the whole point here. When you're buying a bike, you want that bike to be enhanced with quality accessories. You know, I don't think I'll go down that road, do I? I think that's what I'm saying. So the other side of it is, why are they not LED in the indicators? Well, I asked Sam this at Motown, and he said to me quite simply, if we go LED on them, you have to have resistors in them, which makes them even more expensive, and also you have to change the relays in the bike. The actual flasher relay itself has to be changed. So then you're getting involved in more invasive work in the wiring loom, and that scares people. They wanted this to simply be plug and play, so it just plugs in and it all works. And the back end, as you saw, does exactly that. And then you can spend your time just making a really nice install like we did. Everything routed nicely, lovely bits of heat shrink. You can play with that, you can enjoy it without the worry and stress and concern that you're delving into something that you're not comfortable with, and does that wire go to that? Why is that smell? Where's that smoke come from? You know, we've all been there and it's not friendly. So that's it. I'm not a wiring person myself. I really don't like it, but I absolutely love the fact and concept of this. You could just stick it all together and it all just works, and nice reliable wiring. The other side with the front, the brackets that hold them on the forks, those clip round clamp brackets, they come in at another £65. And yes, that is a bit lofty in my personal opinion, but I do see the quality in them. I see it, and that little tiny bolt on the end, or the sleeve tube that goes on the end, and that slides on nicely, holds it all together. That definitely for me is worth it. Certainly when you look at the alternative is a horrible piece of stamped out tin that the factory sends you. They also make a pressed one, that cheap one we fitted on Penny's Bonneville. You can have that as well if you've got less money to spend, so they're all available. So £65 front and the same rear, and the brackets, that's 3 lots of that, £95 for that, and £15 for the little 2 pieces of jockey harness that go in the headlight to just adapt those plugs so you can plug into your factory indicators inside the headlight. So the whole lot, £305. Not too bad, don't you, Ben?
No, brilliant.
What do you pay for an Arai? 500 quid, £400. It's not a lot when you see it in terms of other things for your motorcycle. A pair of tyres are going to cost you £250. A decent full service on a Triumph or a Harley Davidson, they're going to cost you £300 to £500. So really and honestly, for quality parts of that absolutely superb quality, I think that's money well spent. I really do. What do you think, Ben?
I think if you've got a £6,000 to £8,000 bike, why would you spoil it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And you do get a wow moment when you open your parcel.
You do that, yeah. This is the thing, I've seen my good friend Pete that I know, he's got the same bike as this, the T100 Black, and he's put some cheap indicators on. It's a fantastic, he's done some lovely things to his bike, but when you see the indicators, they're just cheapy things, and it just spoils the bike. But some people, they want them on there, they want them to look good, and they're happy. Personally, we see it differently with him.
Yeah, I wanted to save up and have something really
That's
quality.
It. Save the money, keep the old ones on there, way too long.
I know, I got nagged to
oh
death
boy,
over
we've been
it.
nagged about those lights, but they're now in a box, sealed in the dark, never to return until it's 50 years old and we restore it, put it back to standard. But that for now, I think with the back tyre, with the 180 back end, and it really works. And it's lowered for you, isn't it? It is a lot lower than most Triumphs. This would be about 1.5 inches, 2 inches higher, so it a different look. But I think that works really nicely, don't you?
Beautiful. Really happy.
All of this information, standard stuff, motorhome.co.uk, just go on their site, usual stuff. They've got the Facebook page, what they're doing, what's coming up, and they've got the eBay shop, what's available. These are hot off the press. If they're not quite available yet, persevere, you will get them. They are there, and they will send them out as soon as they possibly can. They come with the white lenses too, if you're interested, but I think you preferred the orange, didn't you? Dark orange. There we go. Anything else, Ben?
That's it. Beautiful.
That's it.
Really happy.
Take your ride safe. See you next time.
With gunfire to those who walk alone, always in transit, never gonna find a home. In backs of boxcars, in border towns.